What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another New World video. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Nighthaven expansion, which is dropping into New World Aeternum on October 13th. Today we got a big juicy video from Amazon Game Studios. It was 1 hour 22 minutes in length talking about the expansion. What we're going to do in this video is condense that down into hopefully about like 10 minutes, a little bit more, a little bit less, going over all of the details, all of the things to get excited for with this big update. If you want to find the full video, I'll put a link in the description down below. But that being said, let's jump in and talk about Nighthaven. Now, one of the features I'm most excited for with Nighthaven is the Catacombs game mode. This is a brand new PvE game mode designed for 3 players, although you can enter and start clearing the catacombs as a solo. Doesn't necessarily have to be tank damage and healer. That's what we see in the footage here, but you can go in with a couple damage players, a couple tank players, even a couple of healers, as they say in the video. The goal, you have 30 minutes to go in, kill enemies, kill bosses, get loot, and get out. If you don't clear it in 30 minutes, GG's, it's over. After every boss kill, the catacombs will get more difficult, but the loot will get better. And they say the first 2 bosses should be doable by casual groups, and then from there on out, it's going to get more difficult, with the 6th boss being very, very difficult. There are up to 100 rooms in the catacombs, and it is randomly generated every time. So sometimes you'll enter into a puzzle area. Next time you go along, the second room in will be an enemy room or a reward room or something with parkour in it. So yeah, it's going to be different every single time. High level of replayability is what they were going for on this one. There will be a queue finder, but of course you can go in with your friends as a group of 3 as well if you want. One cool feature they're adding with the catacombs is what they call aspects. So at the start of a run, you'll be able to choose an aspect. These are basically power-ups or buffs that last for the duration of that particular catacombs run. One aspect that they give an example of is the aspect of the paladin, where every time you land an attack, you'll heal your teammates for a percentage of the damage. You can also see some other aspects on the screen here as well. There was one where you do a headshot or a crit and then you can jump really far, so these seem pretty wacky. How many you'll be able to get in a run, I think they said there's 16 in total, but it effectively adds an element of roguelike to it, and obviously makes it more random in that you're not going to get the same aspects every time. Maybe some will be more powerful than others. And then you can also earn ascensions as well. Ascensions increase your health and damage by 10% each, and these are going to be given randomly throughout a run of the catacombs as well. You'll be earning sterlings from the first boss that you kill and every boss after that. The second boss and every boss after that will give you crowns. So you get sterlings throughout the run, and you'll only get crowns from the second boss kill onwards. And they say that you can use crowns to purchase cosmetics. They didn't mention what you can use sterlings for, but I'm going to assume it's another vendor that you can buy items from as well. Catacombs in general look super fun, high level of replayability. Every run obviously is intended to be a little bit different, and the fact that there are like cool skins and stuff that you can buy with the currency you earn from it, this looks really, really fun. One of the things that I'm looking forward to doing is seeing how far we can go solo in this, if we can just take some sort of like greatsword lifesteal build and see if we can go through and get to like the 3rd boss on my own. But generally, super, super excited for this one. In this dev video, we also got more information about the new zone coming to the game. It's called Nighthaven. It is the biggest zone that's been added to New World so far. It will feature castles, spooky forests, spider caves, graveyards, like an Eastern European village, stuff of that sort of aesthetic. You get the vibe when you're seeing it on the screen here. There's also a complete underground area, like a brand new area under Nighthaven called the Underworld, which has various points of interest, including you can get gatherables and chests. There's new enemy types down here that they call nightmares. You can also swim underwater in this zone as a method of exploration, pick up torches and throw them. You can use torches to burn spider webs and rat's nests. Within Nighthaven, there's also going to be hidden tarot cards. You'll be able to find these cards and then use them to unlock treasure chests or access tarot towers, I think is what they call them. It's going to function somewhat similar to the glyph system in Brimstone Sands or the animal patterns from the Elysian Wilds, if you guys have played either of those. But yeah, they're going to be quite difficult to find according to them. There's also going to be jump pads within the zone, which you can use to climb up and I assume find more cards and chests and hidden gatherables. So if you're somebody who likes exploration, there is going to be a lot to discover in Nighthaven, according to the devs. The Isle of Night is the new raid that's going to be coming with the Nighthaven expansion. This will be a level 70 raid designed for 10 players. It'll feature 3 different bosses, and according to the devs, it'll take a similar amount of time to clear as the current raid that we have right now, which is the Hive of Gorgons. We'll be starting at the docks and making our way through to the fortress, battling enemies and bosses along the way. They've also said there's going to be a randomized puzzle, just one, but one randomized puzzle, so you'll have to like figure out the puzzle every time you do the raid, whereas in Hive of Gorgons, we kind of just know exactly what we're doing right now when you shoot the spinning balls. One thing that they didn't show us everything. They said there's going to be a lot of new enemies, and we can see some of them here, but they did show us the first boss, which is the Jester. And man, this boss design looks really, really cool. They say the boss fight is very chaotic. It's going to require 2 different shot callers. I think that's for the raid in general. With the footage we can see, there's like a big wall of fire. He's summoning lots of enemies. At some point, somebody gets on a siege weapon. It does look absolutely crazy. There's also a suggestion from the devs that you'll want to run an off tank in this raid. So you'll need 2 different tanks and yeah, 2 different shot callers as well. So a lot of crazy mechanics going on here. I don't know if like a random group is ever going to be able to complete this one, if it's going to be something that requires a lot more organization and structure, you know, like a pre-made group. They do mention, though, that the raid will be entirely lost enemies. So if you have lost coatings, lost ward potions, and you have the major lost trophies in your houses, it's going to help you deal more damage and take less damage in the form of the ward potions to all of the enemies in this raid. But generally, Isle of Night, we don't get too many more details, but it does look pretty cool. And like I say, that first boss, the Jester, really love the design behind this guy. Looks like it's going to be pretty challenging. Nighthaven's also going to feature a lot of new enemies. The devs say that there's going to be 40 new creatures coming with this expansion, which would feature vampires, were creatures, inquisitors, ghastly horrors, and beasts. From the vampire side of things, they call them Upia. I was going to be calling them vampires. They have a tiering system. So like the high tier, which are the nobility, and then we have the lower tier, which are, I guess, like peasants. The higher tier can actually consume lower tier vampires to make them stronger, which is really cool. We haven't really generally had much AI interaction. AI doesn't interact with AI that much in this game, but we're seeing some evolution of that now in the game. From the were creatures side of things, we have werewolves, werebears, were-ravens. Some of these enemies do look like they use similar attack patterns and models from what we've seen in the game in the past. Although the devs do say that more than half the creatures in Nighthaven do have new rigs and new animations. So yeah, we will see a little bit of overlap. Specifically with these were creatures, they can also come in a rabid or diseased form. Exactly what implications that has, I don't know. But if they look rabid, they look diseased. I'm assuming they're probably going to apply disease to you, which means you're not going to be able to heal yourself as much. A creature type that I'm very excited for and didn't even really know was going to be a thing. We knew about the vampire and werewolf theme for it, but we also have the Inquisitors. Now these are going to be the new corrupted enemies within Nighthaven, but they have really cool designs. They come in different forms, so they describe them as clerics, we have flame keepers, we have wardens and enforcers, markswoman, and the seraph. Like with the vampires, these guys do have special buffs that they interact with each other, but rather than just killing each other, these guys will use something called rampant flame. So when one Inquisitor is near another, this rampant flame buff can kick in, and then they can enable special attacks or abilities that they wouldn't use when they're solo. So these Inquisitors, you probably want to keep them separate if you can. Too many together, they are going to become quite a force to be, to deal with. In terms of the ghastly horrors, they don't really show as much footage or give too much mention of this. There's a headless enemy within the underworld, so that area under Nighthaven. We're also going to find nightmares. I guess these are just going to be really spooky monsters, clouds and demons and ghosts of all kinds of different descriptions. And generally populating Nighthaven, there's also going to be quite a few new beasts as well. We have spiders, quite a lot of mentions of spiders and spider caves. There's also going to be foxes, rats, and reindeer as well, but sadly we don't have any footage of those currently. For the main storyline, there are going to be 4 new bosses, and then they also say there's going to be 4 challenge bosses, which will specifically be of the Inquisitor variety. So I think like elite open world bosses, special Inquisitors that we can kill for, I don't know, open world drops, along with the main story boss line, new enemies there as well. But we don't have any footage of these, so we're just gonna have to guess what they look like and how cool they are. Lastly, we need to talk about the big changes coming to gearing and progression in New World. There was a section at the end of this video where they explain how we're gonna get good gear and upgrade it and what good items will look like going forward. So the first system is to do with upgrading in New World. Right now, if you want to upgrade an item, it's pretty selective. It has to be a named item. It's going to be of a certain criteria. Some of them will go to 700 gear score. Other ones will go to 725. They're streamlining this system. It's just going to be that if an item is 700 gear score or higher, you can upgrade it to 800. Doesn't matter if it's named, doesn't matter if it's crafted, you just 700 gear score. That's it, that's the only requirement. 700, it goes up to 800. To do this, you'll need Umbral Shards. Umbral Shards will be earned from a ton of different content, but you'll only be able to earn a certain amount per week. Right now, they were suggesting that the cap would be about 4,000. 4,000 Umbral Shards again, taking from the video, would allow you to upgrade 5 items to 800 gear score, provided those 5 items were 730 gear score. So 730, 730, 730, 730, all the way to 800. That would be your shards for the week. This kind of makes sense because if we have an item that's 725, or if you had a full set of 725, which is currently the highest we could get right now, that means it's going to take us approximately 2 to 3 weeks to upgrade a full 725 set to 800. And they did say you might want to do that. Although we're getting new items with the update, we're going to cover those. Some of the old items are still going to be relevant, including artifacts. Artifacts are still going to be a thing, so upgrading those to 800 gear score is something that you might want to consider. There is a exponential scale to upgrading, so getting from 730 to 780 doesn't require that many shards, but then going from 780 to 800, every step you get closer to 800 does cost considerably more shards. One of the big changes that's coming with Nighthaven is they're removing attributes from all of our armor and weapons and jewelry, so gear no longer provides attributes. Instead, all of your attributes are now going to be gained from this points available screen here. So we have 220 points available. They're going to be bumping us up to, I think they said about 530. So we're going to get an additional, that's 310 points to play around with, which is a bit less, quite a bit less than what you would currently get from your gear right now. I think we are going to have a bit of an attribute squish. So right now it is possible to hit some thresholds where you can get like 350 strength and then 300 con. I think you're not going to be able to hit those thresholds anymore with the next update. So it does mean that you're going to have to be a bit more selective which threshold points you want to go with. But yeah, I think that the change where we no longer have attributes on gear, instead it's just assigned through here, it's a lot more flexible. We don't have to worry about getting like the wrong items, like, oh, I got a good chest, but it's got focus on it. That's not going to be a thing anymore. While we're talking about attributes, they're also going to be making a very big change. Items or weapons that only scale off of one stat. So for example, we have the Great Axe, which only scales off of strength. These are now going to scale off of 2 attributes. So everything will be dual attribute scaling. They didn't break down what's going to happen. So for example, Great Axe, I'm assuming would be strength and dexterity. They didn't say though. There was a hint that bow would be dexterity and intelligence. Life staff, I got to imagine focus and intelligence. But yeah, every weapon that just scales off of one attribute is now going to be 2 attribute scaling instead. And that's because we are going to have less attribute points to play around with. Another big change coming to gear with Nighthaven is the changing of the perk system. So right now, when you get an item in New World, you have just these fixed perks on it. With certain named items, you can change one perk. The same with artifacts as well. You can take them to the gypsum kiln and change a perk. Going forward, you're going to have what they call perk charm slots. So in the same way that gems kind of work, where you can replace a gem on an item, you're also going to be able to replace a perk on an item as well. They have a charm slot and you can put a perk charm into that category. Now, not every item will have like every slot customizable. So some items will have a fixed slot and then the other 2 perks will be customizable. And the perk slots or the charm slots are going to go into categories as well. So you have an offensive slot, a defensive slot, and a skill slot, and it's going to be random. So you might get items, some items will drop with 2 defensive slots, some items will drop with 2 offensive slots. I think you're always going to have a gem slot, and I believe you're always going to have a skill slot, but you'll have a bit of customization with your items. And what this means is going forward, the gear chase, like in terms of getting good items, is if you want to make a perfect tank build, then you want to get a tank build and get a bunch of items that have that 2 defensive slot, because imagine, yeah, you want to have big defenses. Whereas if you're going for like a full glass cannon, trying to do as much damage as possible, then you don't want any defensive slots on your gear. You just want everything to be offensive or skill slots. And skill slots are things like the Sundering Shockwave or the Fortifying Sacred Ground, you know, the things that make your abilities do an extra condition. So yeah, we have a lot more customization with our gear. You will also be able to earn items that have up to a total of 4 slots. So you can imagine this top line here where I'm getting Constitution. Instead, that would be a perk slot as well. Although 4 slot items, 5, I guess if you include the gem slot, these are only going to be available from M3, which was very surprising for me to hear. If you go M3, for those of you who don't know, is you have mutated dungeons, you have M1, M2, and M3. M3 is the highest difficulty of mutated dungeons. Actually very challenging PvE content. Currently doesn't have any purpose, but it is going to be giving some of the best gear in the game after Nighthaven comes out. Another topic that they talked about in the video is set bonus gear. Now we've known about this for a little while, but set bonus is going to be items that you can wear, and the more that you wear that have that set bonus, the stronger it gets. So they come in different forms. You have 3-piece and then 5-piece set bonus, and you have 2-piece and 4-piece set bonus. And there is also a 1 set right now, which has a 1, a 3, and a 5. The example that they gave is the Enrage set. So with the Enrage set, you might be able to see some of it on the screen. If you have 1 piece of Enrage, then it gives you a buff where when you deal damage to an enemy, you get a stacking damage buff where you do 1% more damage up to a total of 10 stacks for 10% more damage. But every time you land an attack, you also get an incoming damage debuff as well. So you take 0.5% more damage. So at 10 stacks, 10% more damage, but you take 5% more damage. And then if you wear 3 pieces of the Enraged set, you'll have that first bonus, but the 3-piece bonus kicks in, which increases the amount of stacks to 15. So now you can get a 15% damage bonus increase. Another aspect kicks in where you take damage. You take 5% of your max HP as damage per second, but it stops at 70%. So it won't kill you. Once you get to 70%, it won't like keep damaging you anymore. And then when you wear 5 pieces of the Enraged set, you have all of those bonuses, but now the stacks go up to 25. And when you drop below 70% HP, you do 8% more damage. So it's kind of like a, a berserker set basically. Now they do say these set bonus pieces are going to be available across all different items. So it's not as if you'll only be able to get like the berserker set bonus from just like one boss. It's like a general, I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. Like they'll be available as a perk, I guess, on any item that could drop in the game. So you could even get the Berserker set bonus or the Enraged set bonus on a life staff that would drop from a chest run. It's not as if you have to target farm like one area for it. They are like a bit more generic, and you can put them together across multiple different pieces. So it won't necessarily be that I have to have 1 piece on my helmet, and then I can only find the 2nd piece on the gloves, and I can only find 1 piece on the ring. You could have 1 piece on a weapon, and then 2 on the armor, and then 3 on the jewelry to put that piece together, if that makes sense. One thing that is going to be limited, a perk or a special perk that you're only going to find on certain items, is a new perk that they're calling infixes. Now these function very similar to artifacts in the way that they describe them, but infixes are going to be unique perks. One that they describe, which sounds pretty bonkers, is when you dodge, you'll spawn a little gravity well around you. Gravity well is the ability that you can get from Great Axe, and it will pull enemies in. So when you complete a dodge, you'll like suck enemies into you basically, which is going to be really good for chasing down people in PvP like crazy strong. So this infix gear isn't super well, they don't go really in depth in it, but I imagine this is going to be more akin to artifacts where you'll only be able to get them to drop from certain locations. However, they did say that items with the infix thing can also be on the set bonus gear as well. So how this all comes together, I'm not entirely sure. I do think it's going to be one of these things that we need to see it and actually play it. And of course, I will have YouTube videos breaking this all down and talking about the crazy new builds that we're going to be able to make with this gear. So make sure you hit subscribe for that one. While we're talking about artifacts, they have made some adjustments. Artifacts are still going to be in the game, so we have like 70 in the game right now. They're still going to be there. They've made a lot of adjustments across the board to them. So one example that they gave is there's an artifact pair of boots you can get called the Unmoved. They've added an extra bonus to this where you reflect damage when you take damage, which sounds really, really strong. I don't know like how much damage you're going to reflect, but that sounds kind of broken. I need to make sure I finish the quest on these bad boys. So artifacts are still in. You'll still be able to upgrade them. And some of them are getting buffs and changes. I guess like the weaker ones, they're going to be upgrading those. One big piece of news that I'm very excited for in Nighthaven is they're removing the limiting of getting loot from raids. So right now with the Hive of Gorgons, you do 1 run per week, and the first time you do the run, the bosses will drop loot. And then if you do another run in that week, you won't get any loot from the bosses, therefore kind of making it pointless to do the run the next time around unless you want to help your friends. Now that limit is gone, so you can do the raid over and over and over again to get as much loot as you want. Obviously, you're still going to need the Umbral Shards to upgrade the items all the way to 800 gear score. It's implied that they won't drop at 800, you'll have to upgrade them, but it does mean that you can run the raid over and over again to try and get different combinations of gear to drop. So maybe you're looking for that set with the 2 defensive slots on it, or you want something with like 1 defense, 1 offense, 1 skill slot or whatever. Yeah, being able to do the raid over and over again to get loot, like, it makes sense. I think that sounds pretty cool. There's also going to be super rare chase items within the raid as well. But these are just cosmetics. So the first boss will drop a hat, the second boss will drop a mount, the third boss is going to drop a mount as well, and these items will be tradable. So 0.5% drop rate from the bosses, but this is pretty cool. This is something that we don't have in New World, and it's in quite a lot of other MMOs. You know, be able to get to like be a mount farmer and then get the cool mounts, and if you get a second copy, you can give it to a friend or sell it for probably a lot of gold. I think this is like a core component that New World's been missing, and I'm actually really excited to just see like rare mounts appear in the game. And that pretty much does it. That's all the information that we learned from this latest developer update video. I did want to condense this down a bit more than what we did, but talking about the gearing and progression, man, there's just so much to cover there that was a pretty chunky segment. Nighthaven looks really cool though. I honestly think this is a really good direction that the game's going in. I like the new gearing changes a lot. Catacombs looks super cool. The new raid looks really, really fun. Let me know what you guys are thinking though. Will you be playing New World Aeternum Nighthaven? One thing that I've seen people talking about is a new weapon. Still no mention of the new weapon yet. We know they have 3 weapons in development. They have told us that. I do think we're going to see a new weapon pretty soon, and I really do think it's going to be daggers. But yeah, in general, what are you guys thinking about this update? Are you going to be playing it? It is free. You can play it on October 13th, so it's next Monday from when this video goes out. I'm obviously going to be there, and if you want to watch, I believe we're going to have Twitch drops, so you'll be able to earn skins in-game by watching my stream. I'll put a link to it in the description down below, twitch.tv/BagginsTV. I believe we're also going to be live on YouTube as well, though, so you'll only be able to get the drops over on Twitch, but if you want to watch here on YouTube, like the video, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one.